How's it going, folks? This is Marshall, and I wanted to do a studio tour, which I have not done yet for my YouTube channel. So I wanted to show all you folks that are subscribed or not subscribed what I'm working with in my studio here, and give you the walkthrough of the equipment and all that good stuff. So here we go. Let's start over here, actually. So this is a green screen, in case you don't know what colors are. This is green. I use this for keying when I do videos. You'll see some cheesy graphics behind me or whatever. The reason why I have this actually is because a long time ago we started doing podcasts with video games, and I thought it looked much better if we keyed us out to where we had just our faces kind of thing in the corner without a wall or something. So it made that look nicer, but I've just kept it and I still use it for my shows, obviously. But over here, what's this? This is a DX7. This is a broken DX7 because I smashed it with a hammer on the insides. I did that because I hate the DX7. But don't worry, this was already broken. I actually have the real DX7 that still works up here. This one's still working. DX7. It's brown, it's ugly, it has no knobs on it, a couple sliders, and it sucks. But yeah, I'll still probably dig into that a little bit at some point. It's a classic synth, even though I hate it. So over here is a couple chairs. I still do podcasting in this room, so we'll set up a table in the middle, a couple of chairs, a couple of microphones down there for that. Those are XML 201s or something like that. I don't actually remember what they are. They're like 10 years old. I've had them pretty much since I started doing podcasting. It was like back in 2009, 2008, somewhere around there. So 9 years old, 8 years old, something like that. They're pretty old. They still work great. They're not the most high-end things, but they do the job. This right here is just a random DOS PC that I built. This is running Windows 98. In case I ever decide I want to play some DOS games. This was a lot of fun, actually. I build computers, and I've built every computer in here except for, I have a Mac Mini that I'll show you in a little while. But I do all my own PC builds. This one was fun because it's Windows 98 and kind of cool going back to the past, so to speak. The only thing I need to get is an updated sound card for this, because the one that's in there is a piece of shit. And actually, coming back to this piece of shit, since it's FM, a lot of the sound cards in the old DOS machines were FM sound cards, basically. So they had Yamaha chips on them. I wonder what this is. It's Yamaha. So any correlation? Maybe. But there's some really cool soundtracks from those old school DOS games. So anyway, that's just kind of a side note. Right here is a HoloLens still in the case. I use this, but I'm doing some development for it, so I have it put away right now. But you'll see some videos on that coming up pretty soon. All right, and then we walk over to this synth tower or synth rack. 3 tiers. I've got White Moog Little Fatty. The Little Fatty is one of my favorite synths of all time. I really love this thing. It gets real mean and aggressive, and you can still make some really nice, sweet little leads on this thing. So it's really versatile. I love this synthesizer. This is like the 3rd one I've owned, so if that says anything. This is a Sub 37. Tribute edition, which is, I believe, the only one they're probably ever going to release. Let me see if I can get this to focus. It's not going to pick up the screen, is it? These backlit LCDs are a little tough to see on this camera. But anyway, Sub 37, look at all these knobs. Look at how pretty this is. This is a really nice synth. And eventually, I'll be getting a Model D in here, and I'll have to figure out where I'm going to put that, because I'm kind of out of space. But compare this, no knobs, couple sliders, to that. And tell me which one you would rather work with. That looks much more appetizing to us knob tweakers, man. So anyway, down here I have JD800. The JD800 from Roland is a synthesizer from the 90s. So this is getting into kind of more vintage. This is a digital synth. They make really great pads. I did not realize how big this was when I bought it, because I had intended it to go over here. But as you can see, this is not going to fit on my other synth wall over there. This thing's just massive. So anyway, this has lots of sliders on it. And these actually were notorious for having the red glue issue. If you see these on eBay, you'll see people say things like, no red glue issue, or yes, it's got the red glue issue. And what that is referring to is under the keys here, there's weights, and those weights were glued in with red glue. And at some point over time, the glue would melt, I guess. And when it hardened again, you wouldn't be able to move the keys. So you'd literally have to do a whole, maintenance on it to replace the keys that were all screwed up. So luckily this one's not had that issue. It still has the red glue under it, but it's not experienced that issue. So let's, fingers crossed. So down here is a 360 camera. I've only used that a couple times. I'll probably do a 360 video of this room as well at some point. Put that on my channel for everyone to check out. Alright, let's head over here. This is MS-20 Mini. I love this thing. I've used this quite a bit in tracks, a lot of bass lines, a few leads. It's a semi-modular synthesizer. It's a reissue from Korg, and I'm so glad that they did this, because this is one of those synths that's, it's a vintage, it's a classic, and a lot of people can't afford the real thing. And a lot of them are real just banged up and beat to shit. So I'm so glad Korg did this. This is a testament to what all the other synth manufacturers should be doing, in my opinion. At this point, a lot of these coveted instruments are so old, parts are either hard to get or impossible to get because they're not made anymore. So this is what the manufacturer should be doing. Reissue, analog. This is a little smaller than the original, but I'm not going to complain. This was great. So anyway, let's sit down here and take a look at my rack. That's a nice looking rack, ain't it? Yeah, so in the rack, I've got my PDU, which actually monitors the power voltage level coming in. So at night, like it is right now, it's about 115. During the day, though, that's at about 119. So the power company actually turns down the power a little bit, I think, in the evening. Sometimes that could be an issue with certain electronics in terms of voltage. Anything that's real sensitive might have an issue, but I've not had any problems. Then right here is a 003 rack. This is my audio interface. This is an old school Firewire interface, and I've had this since like 2006. I bought this with Pro Tools version 6.9, I believe, and I love it. Don't know if I will ever sell it. And the reason why is on the back of this thing, there's individual 1/4 inch or XLR jacks. They're separate. A lot of the interfaces now have the XLRs and the 1/4 inch inputs as one thing. So if you have, an instrument you want to plug in, let's say you're maxed out. There's eight inputs on this thing, and let's say you have all 1/4 inch connectors maxed out, but you still want to plug a microphone in because sometimes you want to record vocals or something like that. Well, then you have to unplug one and plug them in. That's on the new interfaces. On this, you can actually plug a mic in also, and then what you do is you change your, probably can't see that. You can turn this on or off. This is a little switch in there that will switch it between the 1/4 inch jack or the XLR jack. Fucking awesome. They just don't make interfaces like this anymore, which is really sad. Maybe with some expensive ones, but even the expensive ones, I don't know. If you have any recommendations on the newer one, let me know. But then over here is a patch bay. Now, any of you who have a lot of instruments like I have in here, a patch bay is your best fucking friend, because the way this sets up here is on the top, I plug all my instruments in the top row. So you have 48, I believe. Oh, sorry, 24. 24 inputs. On the bottom are all outputs. That's if you run it in, I believe, normal. Anyway, I'm basically using it as a pass-through. So I've got all my synths over here, all these synths, this one, these down here, these over here, and these over here, which we'll get to, all patched in back here, and then I have a matrix that I look up on my computer that tells me what's what on the top row. Then these 8 sections down here, these are all inputs going into the 003. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that way I don't have to flip this thing around when I want to use, say, the TR8 and the JD800, but I've got the radius and the Sub 37 plugged in or something. You know, it just makes your life so much easier because you don't have to flip your rack around and try and mess around with cables. It's just right in front of you. Perfect. This is one of the best investments I've made, and relatively inexpensive. And then you don't have to plug them in. They don't require any power. So that's awesome. It's just a passive device. And you can do some other things. Like I have, well, let me just go down here. So this is a slim fatty right here beneath all the cables. Again, this is the little fatty, but the rack version. Now, they do actually sound different, which is why I have them both, because I've owned both of these, and they do sound different, believe it or not. And I think actually, you know, between analog synth to analog synth, even if they're the same thing, they'll have some variation. But this definitely sounds a lot different than that, in my opinion. So I have them both. I love them both very much. They're some of my favorite synthesizers. But yeah, this is a Korg Radius. This is one of the first synths I got. I think I've had this since 2006. And the thing is that with this patch bay up here, you can see down here, there's a couple of inputs. And these inputs I actually have routed into, I can't remember which one, but it's in one of these inputs here. So I could patch into it, run it through the Radius, and use the vocoder and bring it back out into Ableton through my interface. So that's another very useful thing with a patch bay. So I can just plug something into it, run it through, and bring it out. You can do that with all these other things, like these have inputs on them, I believe. Definitely you can run stuff through the filter on here. Anyways, those are some really nice features of having a patch bay. Alright, so down here is a fast mat circuit bent speak and read. I use this for vocals sometimes and tracks. This is basically one of those old school toys from the 80s, but it's been circuit bent. And I have a list of words that I can say, plus several of the modules. I'd have to pull the module out, which I'm not going to. But the modules add additional vocabulary. And I just splice words together for tracks, and it's a lot of fun. Then over here is the Nord Micro Modular. I don't have it hooked up at the moment because I'm kind of out of space, but I mean, the MIDI's all hooked up, but the power's not connected. So it's just kind of chilling right there. I'll be doing some videos on that guy eventually. Alright, so this is the desk. This is my main work area. There's a TR8 over here. Novation, or not Novation. An Ableton Push. This is a Novation Launch Key Mini. And TR09 and TB03 respectively from Roland. I love these things, both of these. A lot of this Roland gear is really nice. You'll notice I have several Roland products in here. Probably actually think I have more Roland than anything, which is cool. Obviously my main PC for music production is right here. This is, I built this thing, so it's a fractal case. Gigabyte motherboard, running I think it's a TI 980 graphics card, if that matters to anyone. So that's my current music production station, which are these two monitors. Video camera here, video camera here. These are Canon Vixia HD 30s or something like that. These are really old. They actually record on DV tape. That's how old these are. But they get the job done for the videos. So yeah, so that's one computer. There's literally like 5 hard drives in there, probably about probably 15 terabytes probably in there. Oh, these are my headphones that I use when you see my goofy ass on the shows. These are what I wear. I bought these a long time ago. I don't even remember what they are. DT770 Pros, whatever that means. These were supposed to be like modular or something, to where if you broke something you can buy it again, put it back together. So yeah, over here is the video production machine, which is actually down here. It's the identical case but different guts. This has a higher end processor. This is rocking the 1080 Ti graphics card from NVIDIA. So this does all my real-time encoding, and I'm running Wirecast software over here for that. Real-time camera switching, and then I've got a output display up here for that. Yeah, so I build computers. Obviously, it's just cheaper, and in my opinion, to build them yourself, if you know what you're doing. So yeah, so then over here, I think I talked about these already. Talked about that. The cameras. What else? Oh, actually, let's talk about this one over here. This computer, actually, that this is sitting on is running my Shoutcast server, which I do 24-hour radio stream. Check out overclockedmusic.com to listen to that. Yeah, so then here's something that every studio should have. Oh, shotgun mic. Forgot about this. This is an Audio-Technica like 8350 or something like that. It's, again, really old. It's one of the first microphones I ever bought, but it still sounds great. I have this set up here. I used to use one of the condenser mics over here. You'll see that sometimes in my videos. But I switched to this because I can kind of put it a little further away, and because the directional cone on this does a really good job of picking me up, I switched over to that. Alright, so then flashlight, because sometimes you have to get down under the here and check shit out. Then there's a Mac Mini over here, and this Mac Mini, if I sit back down and I switch over the input on this guy, is running Boot Camp, and I've got Windows 10 on here, and this also is running the 24-hour video stream, which is also the radio stream. So this way I have simultaneous video and audio streams going out to the whole world 24 hours a day. And this is on the Overclocked Music YouTube page. This is always running, and again, it runs in tandem with the same audio as the audio broadcast. So that's all a separate thing. That's from my record label, but that's always running. So let's switch that back. That little Mac Mini does pretty good. Eventually I'll have to replace that. But then here's something that every studio should have. A couple portable devices. Nintendo Switch. I played the shit out of Zelda for like a week and a half when I got that. This is like a Sega handheld. It's like some weird off Chinese brand, but I think actually sponsored by Sega. So it's an official Sega product, I suppose. The hardware is made by somebody else. And then an NES Classic Edition. Those were so hard to get. I love Nintendo, but my main consoles are downstairs. But just to have some portable shit to pass the time when you're bouncing files, or if you're just needing a break. So this is an extra light, in case you couldn't tell. I've actually started using this as like a secondary light to light me up over here, so that when I'm doing the green screen, it's easier to key it out. I've actually got some new lights on order that are LEDs that I'll probably place over here with some filtering on them. to soften them up because this is pretty harsh lighting. And this is my homebrew synth rack made out of plexiglass and regular closet shelving. So this up here, DX7, obviously, DeepMind 12. Check this thing out. Lots of sliders. Pretty basic menu structure. It's not super crazy in terms of getting down into the main modulation portions of things and any special things you need to get into. It's pretty easy workflow on this thing, but I can't hear it. But there is a fan in this thing, and it is somewhat loud. Fan and a synthesizer are crazy. All analog, by the way. Then down here is a JP8000. Also from the 90s. This is the first synthesizer Roland introduced with the super saw. To me, it's the best freaking super saw ever. If you're gonna make trance, you need to buy one of these. They're not that expensive, at least at the moment. Then down here, it's a Behringer X-Air 12. This is actually what I route all these synthesizers into. All the audio goes into here, and then it comes out and it goes all the way along back here, all the way down into here. And then that is a Tascam 4x2 or 4x4, something like that, that runs back up into here. Actually, it's in the patch bay now, so that I can record audio for my shows. And also I can subsequently route through the software the instruments, each instrument back into Ableton, if that makes any sense. So then there's another power PDU, Furman, something like that. 8 inputs on the back, 1 on the front, and the spacing's pretty good, so if you have some wall bricks, they'll fit in those. That's just powering all the synths, the display over here, the Zotac mini PC. So this is interesting. If you watch my video on upgrading your USB ports, which is pretty freaking nerdy, I talk about a software program where you can take your USB interfaces, plug them into a computer, and then share it across the network. So I actually have access to the USB devices. So like the TB3 over here, the dongle that I'm using for this, the DeepMind 12 itself, and the other dongle for the Yamaha. It's not plugged in right now, but they're all plugged in here. And the whole reason for this is so that I can share the USB interfaces over the network, because I'm literally out of USB ports on this. And I have expansion cards and everything. It's just all the stuff is USB, and just ran out of interfaces. So this was last resort. Little tiny PC for this. So little tiny PC for that. So I mounted a monitor over here, and I'm just running a PowerPoint slideshow with different Roland advertisements from back in the day. And that should maybe change here any minute. But yeah, then my last little camera here is a Sony something rather, and it's just got a long HDMI cable running all the way across through back here, all the way into here. So on this computer there's several Blackmagic input cards. 2 of them are 4K, 2 of them are just regular HD. So there's actually 4 of them back there. So I can have 4 input sources. Right now I'm really only using 3, but I've hooked the switch up a little bit too for some stuff, even though I haven't actually done that yet. But that's coming up for a different channel. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my studio. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Oh, I forgot to talk about the shelves. So the shelves are just plexiglass, and on here is some LED strips, and I'm tangled my microphone. You probably can see it. Just LED strips back there. These are RGB, so you can actually change colors on them with the little remote down there. Right now I just have them on blue, but they can do all kinds of cool little effects. And yeah, so I just picked up the plexiglass. I think it's 3/8 inch thick from a plastic company here in Colorado, and mounted some shelves. Now my next project is going to be, I'm making special brackets for this, because this particular thing doesn't have angled brackets available, which is a real shame. So I'm going to make some so that I can have better access to these synths, especially that DX7, because you need to look at the screen for that one and what buttons you're pushing for sure. And I'm just not quite tall enough to get all the way up there and look at that. So I need to get some angled brackets made for that. And actually I probably just do these two. This one's pretty easy to get to. So that'll be my next project. I'm 3D printing right now some prototypes to make sure they work, and then I'll have them fabbed out of aluminum. But yeah, so the next step in here also is to get sound treatment. You'll see that's a big issue in a studio sometimes, is no sound treatment. Broncos, love my Broncos. Yeah, and a couple of movie posters, great movies. So that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just leave your comments below. Please subscribe if you like the video, all that good stuff. And this is Marshall, and I'll talk to you later.